We begin with the Jamaican government's response to concerns over its newly announced JPS loan. The government is pushing back against criticism over its decision to loan US $150 million to the Jamaica Public Service Company, JPS. Energy Minister DARYL, speaking with unusual candor at today's post-hurricane press conference, argued that the move was the only credible way to fast-track the island's post-Melissa power restoration without compromising the country's long-term energy future. He revealed that JPS has essentially hit a financing wall, with lenders unwilling to commit funds to the company as they only have 2 years remaining on their electricity license.
Melissa posed a problem because with a license with 2 years to go, the JPS would not be able to find or raise the capital on the capital market. And first thing that they said was that they would need a 15-year extension of the current license in order to be able to raise capital. They met with the multilaterals, who were very, very anxious to help on an emergency basis, but they too said that they needed between 8 and 10 years extension in order to protect their loan.
Minister Vaz says that with the government holding firm on its decision not to renew JPS's license under its current terms, a different solution had to be found.
So the minister here and the government and the cabinet were in a pickle for 2 reasons. One, an extension on the existing license, despite the fact that we had Melissa, would be a breach of faith in relation to the commitments that were given. Secondly, we would not have time to negotiate any amendments, even on an interim basis, to speed up the restoration and be able to speed up the restoration at the same time. Huge problem, because the fact of the matter, as was said in Parliament by all my colleagues yesterday, the people want light.
He says following negotiations with key government and JPS partners, a loan agreement was reached to accelerate the electricity restoration across the island.
On Monday morning, after several different iterations and negotiations and proposals, we had a meeting with the Minister of Finance, the Financial Secretary, myself and the Permanent Secretary, President and CEO of JPS, and the Chairman. And I made it clear on the outset that we are not discussing an extension and funding. We are separating both. That was agreed. We were able to come out of that meeting and go to Cabinet to get an approval to loan the JPS $150 million US immediately, on the basis that that money would be used singularly for an advanced restoration, taking us from April and May next year to January to February 2026.
Meanwhile, the Jamaican government is moving to reassure the public that taxpayers will face no financial exposure from the US $150 million emergency loan extended to the Jamaica Public Service Company, JPS. Energy Minister DARYL says the loan was structured with 2 layers of protection to ensure the state is never left holding the bill.
That is what Cabinet approved, a 5-year loan, which means that they have the option to pay it off in 2 years, which is when their license expires. If they are successful in the negotiation on our terms, they'll be able to raise the capital immediately to pay the government back their money. If they are not, and there's a new player that is coming to the table, the contract and the conditions of the license requires that the government buys the assets of JPS. which means that our $150 million will be set off with whatever that valuation is. I want to make it very clear that the government has acted responsible and that the government and the taxpayers of Jamaica are secured. Worst case scenario is that we convert the $150 million into preferential shares in JPS if they're unable for whatever reason to repay.
That was Jamaica's Minister of Energy, DARYL.